Hello everybody, YellowShy here with this weird video. Gosh, you've been putting a lot of content out in the last few days, Shane. Don't you know that nobody watches your videos? Shouldn't you give up by now? No. It's been announced. Coming in November, Pokémon UltraSun, UltraMoon. Certainly, we must have a million YouTubers post their own reactions to it. In fact, Hitmon Scott, a YouTuber who I've just recently met, and it was quite insightful. He did a little video explaining what his thoughts about it all were, and it inspired me to do my own. So, barring that I don't spout, or tangent, or tirade, or rant, I'm going to hope to try to keep this under 40 minutes. Everyone was speculating, what's it going to be? Pokemon's annual holiday release. Is it going to be the logical Pokemon Z? Yes, my fellow Canadianas, it's Z, where we once again go back to the Région de la Calo, the French region of Kalos. Or were you one of those people that went, I want to play a game that's exactly the same as Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, but it's not called Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. I want remakes of the exact same game. Maybe you're one of those people, but we all got surprised, and they decided to go UltraMoon, UltraSun. They decided to stay on the lowland region while we all have it freshly in our minds. Let me just talk about the Gen 4 remakes, because this is my first point. Why do people want remakes so badly? All it is the same game with the same plot, with the same characters, often with the same sequence of events, with the same gym leaders, the same Elite Four, the same champion, the same villain team, in the same region, with new graphics. And that's the only good part about it, is exploring the same region and new graphics. And I don't think the graphics are improved enough over the DS graphics of Diamond and Pearl to make it worth making the same game again. Maybe because I'm a creative type and I like to focus on plots and themes when I play Pokemon games, but that's not enough to justify it for me. You can make a new game in the Sinnoh region, but it can be a new adventure. Make a sequel to Diamond and Pearl, even though it's been, 5 or 6 years or whatever it's been. It's been more than that. 10. You can be in the same region, but make new characters. It can take place in another position in time. It can be a new villain team, maybe with new legendary Pokemon. Wouldn't that be a nice curveball? Not Dialga and Palkia focused, but maybe it's on Mesprit, Uxie, and itself. Wouldn't that be something? But no, we're going back to Alola, and so I haven't actually watched the trailer, because what happens, and I love this, there's like 10 seconds of a trailer, and people make 11-minute analysis videos, where people are like, the new legendary Pokemon has a spike on its back, and it's green in color, so that makes me think it's going to be a grass type. And furthermore, I'd like to add, because the legendary Pokemon is going to be a grass type, there's going to be a giant forest in the region somewhere, which means there's going to be a new region, because the forests of the old regions weren't very big. I don't need that. So this is going to be imaginary, speculative, just things that I hope for, because we're going back to the Alola region. I think the Alola region was the best region. I think Pokemon Sun and Moon were the best Pokemon games that have come out because of the technology that was available to them. I'm not one of those old-time Pokemon players that's blinded by this weird nostalgic feeling of oh, the Gen 2 was just the best because it was the first one I played. No. They didn't have 3D, the graphics sucked, there weren't as many Pokemon, there weren't as many moves, the plot sucked. Everything about Gen 2 was kind of awful now that you think about it, right? Stop being blinded by nostalgia. Okay, Sun and Moon were the best, but that being said, there are still things from Sun and Moon that I think were not perfect, that could have been a little bit better. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the video, is I'm going to be listing off a bunch of things that I wanted in Pokemon Sun and Moon that I am now going to hope and know that it isn't actually going to happen, because my hopes and dreams are wildly, probably wrong and will never happen. But these are what I hope to be in UltraSun and UltraMoon. Nothing based on any kind of evidence, just other than my own wants. Number 1! Team Skull gets redemption. Was I the only one that felt really bad and sympathetic for Team Skull? Here they are, just a bunch of lowly people that all they were a group of people that didn't go along with the mythological craved overindulged religious fucking weirdo Alolans, that they were outsiders to that whole group, that were obsessed, absolutely obsessed with religion, mythology, tradition, and tourism. I couldn't have been the only one that got a kick out of seeing Professor Oak in the flower shirt and super brown tan. No, definitely tourism. It's Hawaii, after all. I didn't think the Alolan citizens were much better morally than Team Skull. In fact, I felt really bad for Team Skull because, well, I didn't want to go into my own thoughts and feelings about religion, but I kind of don't mind the fact that there's this young group of kind of punky, there's this kind of young punk group. I love punk music. I love what the punk movement stood for, so I therefore symbolize and sympathize for what Team Skull stood for in Pokemon Sun and Moon. And I was kind of desperately hoping for this sort of clash between Team Skull and the Alolan citizens, which was, by the way, a pun for the punk group, The Clash. It's a nuclear error, but I have no fear, 'cause Sinnoh is drowning. I live in Unova. Wow, 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 wow. Ow, 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 ow. Team Skull gets redemption. The only moment where you're supposed to feel bad for Team Skull is when you actually go to Po Town, which was, I think, the most memorable part of Pokemon Sun and Moon, where the rainfall is always coming down, there's graffiti on the walls. They've literally walled themselves in from the rest of Alola by building that stone barricade around them. The grunts themselves are very obsessed with barriers. There's even that one grunt at the entrance that was talking about the barrier that's blocking you from actually going in even after you've gone through the bush or whatever and defeated Guzma and the barrier's gone. I'm sure that was an accident, but it still symbolizes how much they're infatuated with walls and that there is a barricade of thought and feeling and of life between Team Skull and the Alolan citizens. So I want there to be a giant war. I want more significance from Team Skull. I want them to be the main villain of Pokemon Sun, UltraSun, Pokemon UltraMoon. But again, this is just me, a person who over-obsesses with theme in Pokemon games, which is what a lot of people don't always do, or at least to the degree that I do. If I was in charge of visually illustrating how Po Town was supposed to make you feel bad and sympathize and view Team Skull as outsiders, I would have had, like, while they were showing the graffiti on the walls, plasma grunts, like, sort of like lying down with their backs sort of arched up on the walls, and one of them's like shooting heroin in their eyeballs or something. So that's the number one. I want more significance, more sympathy. I want the redemption of Team Skull. Number two, these ones are going to be small and to the point because I'm already getting way too long on time here. You've got other things to do in your day, and I understand. Number two is more islands, please. I want more islands, they don't have to be as big as the other ones, they don't have to have big cities in them, but I just want more islands to be explored, and I want you to be able to explore the water area between the islands. Maybe between one island and the next island, have a bunch of little chains of islands, what we call, in the world of geography, an archipelago. Maybe make a bunch of small little islands for you to explore on your way to the next island, and actually use surf to get from one island to the next, not a ship that just puts the screen and fades to black, and then voila, you're in the new island. Number three, have the observatory on top of that one mountain have an interactive telescope. I couldn't have been the only one that wanted that. Number four, make the Pokemon League an actual Pokemon League. This has been way too long now where they've called it the Pokemon League when all it is just 4 trainers and a champion. And I was quite excited when Professor Kukui said that he was actually going to create his own Pokemon League now so that players and trainers from the Alola region would compete with the rest of the trainers from other regions. Here I was, finally my dreams come true, where there's a Pokemon League that actually is kind of like tennis, where you go to different cities and play in tournaments and get points to qualify for major tournaments and for the playoffs and all this good stuff. It's actually going to happen. And then it turned out they actually digressed. You didn't just battle an Elite Four and a champion. You battled an Elite Four consisted of trainers you've already battled. Imagine that. Could you imagine the Elite Four in Kanto and you're like, hey, you get to fight Misty, Lieutenant Surge, Sabrina, and Blaine again. How fun is that? This will never happen, by the way, but I would always have dreamt of a Pokemon game having a sort of more sports-themed Pokemon League where you go to different cities from different regions and play in actual Pokemon tournaments and collect points and collect earnings and collect winnings and money and points and trophies and all that good stuff. But that will never happen. Again, this is imaginative, speculative, primitive stuff here from YellowShy. And lastly, number 5. This might be the most important, but I'm putting it at the end because I know it's already not happening. I wanted this game to be available for the Nintendo Switch. Not because I'm being snobbish and elitist in the fact that I actually do, unlike some people, have a Nintendo Switch, but because I've been wanting, ever since Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, another adventure-orientated, console-based Pokemon game. It's way funner. You can have way better graphics. Maybe make your Sinnoh remakes on the Nintendo Switch, because you would have the great graphics. I mean, I'm playing Breath of the Wild right now, and you can see the Castle Hyrule from any point of a mountain anywhere in the region. That's what you want. That's the kind of graphics you want, and the Nintendo Switch is handheld. You can take it wherever you want, so there's not that barrier to have to breach as well. So why not? Why not make an adventure-based Pokemon game for the Switch? The time is nigh, Game Freak. And that's been my rant, my tangent, my tirade, my eruption the size of a full health Mega Camerupt. So I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave some comments, interact with me, have your own opinions, maybe make a video response to your own opinions on UltraSun and UltraMoon, your own speculations or what you will, and direct me to them. I would like to know what you have to say as well. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm YellowShy saying goodbye, and I hope to see you sometime soon.